It's definitely been a little bit of a week for me, and I definitely want to thank everybody for being just super kind, super positive, and super patient while I took a week off. I definitely needed the reset. I ended up kind of crashing out, crashing in bed, realistically. I guess just months of just not getting enough sleep and months of just build up, build up, build up. Disease, sickness, sleep, all kind of just compounded all at once. So I want to thank everyone for giving me enough time to be able to just kind of chill out for a little bit. And in that, especially leaving off on the note that we left off on the VTuber community into yet another controversy, I feel that I've had a lot of time to kind of reflect on a lot of things, kind of think out, what I want to do, where I want to, take things, etc. So I kind of wanted to really kind of talk about that, but I also wanted to make sure that I was actually opening up to feedback, because after all, at the end of the day, you, dear viewer, are the one watching this content, watching some silly dingus on the internet. And I figured that, it would be a good way to kind of open that dialogue. So reactions, I mean, they're here to stay. For all intents and purposes, they're my job. I will say there are certain things I will do. There are certain things that I will not do. There are certain subjects I will not cover. I know the Unsubscribed podcast had something in regards to, I believe it was Buffalo schools recently. I'm not willing to comment on it. I'm by no means any sort of specialist. I'm any sort of authority on the subject. Therefore, common sense does dictate that I don't dive into it, talk about it, anything. So I appreciate people who've sent that to me. Personally, I'm not the specialist or the expert. I feel my ability to comment in any sort of good faith capacity is going to be minimized. So I want to make that abundantly clear. I also want to make it abundantly clear as well, and I do this in many videos, and I feel like I'm going to try to not rehash the rhetoric every single time, but for all intents and purposes, let this be a monument. Not necessarily a monument to your sin status, but to kind of just be here, right? I do reactions on a good faith basis. I want to make sure I'm as transformative as possible. Sometimes that's not always possible. Sometimes the video just sucks me in, and I do feel bad about those. If someone on behalf of the creator does say hi, or the creator themselves, right? If some sort of person of hi, I am John content you're reacting to, wants me to take down content, I'll comply every time. That's because while it's on the internet, while there's the philosophy, if you put it on the internet, anyone can use it, especially in the age of AI and taking things, right? Generative AI specifically is what I'm obviously referring to here, like, Ghibli AI bot and stuff like that, where artists' work is kind of just being disrespected. I want to make sure at the end of the day I am respecting the artist. Yes, I'll have points that conflict. I mean, I have subjective opinions. I even have L opinions. You should be the own judge of where you fall on that, right? We're all adults here. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I'm being respectful of the core content. I think that there's certain things that I'm very unable to comment on. I can, learn from a historical standpoint, say military affairs, right? Fat Electrician does a lot of great videos. I feel that there's a lot more VTubers at this point that kind of do his videos a lot better than mine. I feel that, which is awesome. It's so cool to see more people reacting to his content and learning about history, because the more we know about history, the more we can have that cognizance and critical thinking going forward to try and prevent the mistakes of the past. That's literally how learning history works. Doesn't always work, don't get me wrong, but my point remains. And there's just not a whole lot that I can comment on. I actually really like his second channel, The Fat Files, because it's more kind of the business side of things. And while I don't have a business degree or anything like that, full transparency, it's one of those things I can look at and feel I have more validity commenting on, right? I don't have that experience. I have never claimed to have the experience, nor will I ever claim to have the experience of a veteran. That's just how that works. I am not John U.S. Army. I am not John Marine Corps. I'm not John Air Force, right? Or John Coast Guard, regardless, right? I'm none of that. And I think that it was interesting to go to an Army Navy store and to kind of just like, hey, I was looking for a, I think it was a USMC trench coat specifically. I was trying to do some tactic hip stuff. Tasteful, obviously. Trying to cosplay Albert Wesker from RE5. But I mean, it was really refreshing to kind of hear that perspective in a, someone who's just like, yeah, you're just random Joe Schmo off the street and just like, hi, I want to make sure I'm being respectful. Stolen valor thing, not kind of super, not legit at all. And he's just like, just whatever, dude. No one really cares. So it was really cool to have that down to earth perspective. And that's why I would implore you, if you hear something that I say, if you hear something that anybody says, you are your own individual. Make sure that you're doing your own research. Make sure that you're cross-referencing your own materials. Make sure that you are doing your own individual things, even if you come to a conclusion that aligns with a group or groups, because at least you have put in the work and you have the understanding, right? If somebody is going to say, well, Kip, why do you feel this about X, right? I'll be able to talk to you for an hour on why I feel it's about a certain way, right? And it's why I've tried to back off on some of the serious videos and serious topics, because I'm here to have fun a lot of the time. It's why some of my favorite reactions are the Volpixie reactions. Shenpai's Final Fantasy 14 Cruiserweight Prague. That was one of my favorite reactions I've ever done. Nova Alchemy, her with Aster Phoenix's VA, English VA. Those have been some of my favorite reactions of all time, which have underperformed, and that's fine. I'm here to kind of, yes, I obviously want to chase metrics, don't get me wrong, but I feel when that becomes the whole game, and this is my advice to anybody, because I've been asked a few times, you know, hey, I'm trying to become Jane VTuber, right? You know, do you have any advice? Things I've learned, one, people don't care. And that's not to say in a negative light. People don't care, okay? If somebody says something 2 weeks later, it's the internet, they really don't care, or they've forgotten. Now, there's obviously niche circumstances, such as a recent VTuber controversy, that kind of, because of the sheer amount that's happening and people are finding receipts to substantiate what happened, it's a little different, right? At the end of the day, there are no shortage of content creators with opinions, very strong opinions sometimes even very wrong opinions, sometimes harmful opinions. But having an opinion isn't inherently wrong, and I think that I myself, as someone who's tried to treat this a lot very business-like and who's obsessed about how I come across, right? I think that is one of those things I look at, and it should just kind of reflect on. So people generally don't care. Obviously, you want to make sure that you're kind of being civil. You want to make sure you're being professional, right? Maybe don't go ham into a super serious subject, right? Or do. I mean, ultimately, it's up to you. Second, I mean, chasing metrics is one of the fastest way to find burnout. I as prime example, right? There are things that I've tried to do in reactions to Mugen. I've tried doing other, things that VTubers have reacted to, and they just don't do well. Maybe it's my content's changed. Maybe I'm just too standoffish now. I don't know really what it is. Some of my older videos get a lot of traction still, which is really interesting to watch. But, going on, 1.5K videos at this point in time, it's just been fairly interesting. And even with all the struggles that it has in regards to copyright, in regards to having to look at things from a legal mindset, which I really didn't have to do when I worked in, actual quote unquote big boy job, right? I prefer to do this. And I wanted to offer a heartfelt thanks to everyone who's still, even with all my burnout, even when I need to take a break, I want to thank you, because you make this possible. And as much as it can stress me out leading to the next point, I really do appreciate being able to do what I do, which does lead to the next point of, no, I'm not quitting. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to try to continue the daily upload schedule. I'm going to try to go ham into it, honestly. I'm trying to grow the React channel this year, just so I can kind of be a little more hands-off on it. Because I'm just super worried consistently about I don't do enough. When I do regularly 2 uploads a day, which is more than a lot of people do, it's just fighting the algorithm. I will be taking a little bit more time for myself. My Theoden scene from Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, right? Gandalf saying, hey, your fingers would feel better if they gripped your sword. Kind of feeling that, honestly. I understand that scene a lot more, where I've definitely been needing to get back into more sword things. I definitely need to get up and not sit all day, if that makes sense. So I will be taking more time to myself. And lastly today, and most importantly, I feel, aside from just thank you, everybody, I wanted to offer this opportunity to kind of get your feedback, to figure out where, why you watch these reactions, what you look forward to in these reactions, if you're okay with the varied amount of reactions, if you think that being a little more streamlined would be okay. Just wanted to open up that dialogue for feedback. I do read comments as much as I physically can. I'm actually going to go do some stuff now. Uploads will resume soon. Thank you everyone for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed the fight on screen. Have been enjoying Final Fantasy 14 again recently. I'll see you in the next one.